Thank you for joining us to creating a strong business plan. It's Show Me the Money business plan is what you should be seeing on your screen. I'm Linda Fitzgerald, an advisor with the SBDC, and today I'm hosting this webinar for Joe and Lani. We're so glad that you're with us. Thanks for being here. This is the Shasta-Cascade Small Business Development Center. We support both Shasta and Trinity County by providing advisory services in those two counties. However, as you know, with webinars, we service people all over the country and even around the globe. We're a nonprofit organization. We provide confidential, no-cost advisory and training services to small businesses. We're funded by the Small Business Administration and Humboldt State University. I'll start by reading our disclaimer for you. The information provided in this webinar and any supplementary materials provided to registrants are intended for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute professional, financial, or legal advice. No registrant should act or fail to act on the basis of any material contained in this webinar without obtaining proper financial, legal, and other professional advice specific to their situation. The Northern California Small Business Development Center and its host, the HSU-sponsored Programs Foundation, specifically disclaims any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence directly or indirectly of the use and application of any of the information provided in this webinar. And now I would like to hand it off to Lani. Lani, your microphone is off.
Go ahead, Joe. You can go ahead and do the agenda. That'd be
wonderful.
Great.
Good morning, everybody. We're going to tag team this class today, and this is the first time doing the new deck. So we're all getting used to this together. We have taught this class several times, but in a different format. So welcome, everybody. Obviously, the agenda, we're going to start with introductions, which we're going to do here in just a second. And we're going to talk basically on the business plan, how this will affect the ability for you to find money for your small business. Whether you're going to be dealing with a bank, financial institution, whether you're going to be pitching to investors, angel groups, even if you're going to pitch it to your grandma, you know, you never know who you're going to be pitching your small business idea to. This is going to help you out, okay? Here's me. Again, I'm Joe Rodola, lead advisor and the money guy at Shasta-Cascade SBDC. As you can tell by the numbers there, definitely not a teenager by any means, but I have been in the credit industry headed to 50 years real quick, okay? I was a bank lender for credit for 11 now, this year now in 2021. And I've been advising small businesses for 9 years. I'm tag teaming this with lovely Lani Lott.
Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us. That's me, and that's my sidekick, Charlie, my new dog. Like many of us that have been during this last year, we've adopted pets, and I actually inherited this little guy who's great. So I thought it would be fun to kind of maybe show my picture as I am during the pandemic. I am the president of my own business. I've had it for 25 years. I'm a full consultant practice in economic development and downtown revitalization. And like Joe, I too have been advising for small business development centers across Northern California. And with Shasta-Cascade, I kind of dip my toe in all aspects of business planning, market research, digital marketing, social medias, and then often specialize in the retail, hospitality, and tourism sectors. When I get down to doing the financial pictures of a business plan or helping businesses forecast, sometimes I hand it over to Joe, or sometimes I take a stab at it and then give it to Joe. So it is an honor today to be doing this with Joe. I respect him greatly. And I am going to pass it back to you, Joe. Oh, no, this is me. That's right. So we thought it'd be kind of fun to just, and I know you don't need to worry about answering these questions. This is not a test. You're not going to be getting a grade on this. But, you know, often when we start talking about business plans, often people's, the eyes just glaze over. Now, Joe and I, we get really excited about it because, that's what we do. We love business plans and we love working with clients to help them, chart their and roadmap where they're headed and really help them be successful. But for most people, there are some kind of maybe thoughts about what a business plan is and what it isn't. So the first question is, a typical plan should be 10 to 20 pages, 20 to 30 pages, 30 to 50 pages. So which one do you think it is? If you selected all, then you're correct. And if you selected none of them, then you're correct too, because really a typical business plan can be as short as 2 pages or even 1 page or even on the back of a napkin. Not that your investor may want more details about that, or it can be as elaborate and as deep as 50 pages. But the most important part of a business plan is that it makes sense to you. It really is anchored in good market research, facts as much as possible, and then really strong financials that really lay out and that you can easily talk about and quantify. The next question, the most important part of the business plan is the executive summary, the marketing plan, which is always my favorite, or Joe's favorite, the financial plan and projections. Well, if you answered all of the above, then that's the correct answer. They're all important. And they all have different functions in your business plan. The executive summary, of course, is like the 2-page that most investors and bankers will look at, and then they go straight to the back where the financial plan and projections are. Or the marketing plan really speaks strongly to how you're going to attract those customers that are going to pay for your product or service that's going to create the revenue that you've outlined in your financial plan. So they all are important and they all have a piece in really crafting your business plan. The third question, why complete a business plan? And let me tell you, Joe and I get very excited when we actually see a paper business plan because, most folks say, well, the bank has asked me to do it, or my investor says I should have it, or my parents are lending me the money, or I'm going to be borrowing it from my 401k and I need to know. So yes.
How exciting.
Thank you. This is why we back each other up.
We've got the presentation down. Is that darn technology that gets in the way. Okay, Joe, next slide's yours.
Yeah, Linda and I were doing a class last December, and all of a sudden I'm talking to an empty screen. My internet went poof. And there I was. Linda kept going. It was great. Wild. All right, so here's the 5 things that the banks look for if you're going to a financial institution, a bank, to borrow money for this particular project, okay? They're looking for background, okay? So do you understand what business you're going into? When I opened my business, I didn't go out and open a pizza parlor, okay? I didn't go into food service. I had never been involved with food service. So I stuck with my wheelhouse and opened up a credit advisory business, duh, right? With 48 years experience, I stayed in the field. So that's going to be very important, is who's running the company, and do you know what you're doing in running that company? Or do you know how to make the product that you're going to be selling, and can you promote it? Lani's great area, market analysis. Do you have somebody to sell it to? Do you have somebody to sell to? Banks are going to be very, very interested in that section because they're going to say, all right, you're going to sell $10,000 worth of something in June. So who are you going to sell it to? Great to have it on the numbers page, but the market analysis will tell you who you're going to sell it to. On the financials again, obviously that's my wheelhouse. In fact, one of the things we can do here at SBDC and all the SBDC offices throughout the country, we can help you go through the financials. A lot of people get scared when the numbers pages show up. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Lani, myself, Linda, we have all touched financial forecasts, and I have seen literally hundreds of financial forecasts, maybe thousands over my career in various areas. So we'll be happy to help you with the financials. Challenges, of course, you have to take into consideration several things. Starting a business right now, believe it or not, you probably should mention COVID, okay? There should be a section in your business plan saying, all right, what are your, COVID restrictions that you're going to follow? Is there plexiglass involved? Is there separation of people if you've got a restaurant? Especially if you're in food service, you're going to have to show as part of the business plan what your challenges are. Right now, obviously, it's COVID. And then, of course, you have to tell you what you're going to use the money for. So if you want $100,000, the banks, financial institutions are going to want to see itemized list of what you're going to spend that money on. X amount for equipment, X amount for supplies, X amount for inventory, X amount for working capital. Okay, separate it out. And that way the bank financial institution will know exactly what you're going to use the money for. And then we build it into the forecast with a payment, estimated payment amount, so that they know that you can make the payments by selling that product. All right, back to you.
Thanks, Joe. I was just going to add a little bit on that, what the banks are looking for. And I think your comment about that many people get overwhelmed or scared about the financial piece. And I know that one of our participants is a startup. She's just exploring a business idea. And I always get this question, and Joe's going to go into this much deeper, but it's like, well, I haven't started the business yet, so I don't know how much I'm going to make. And so where do I start with my forecast, and how many products do I need to sell, or who am I going to sell it to, and what's my pricing strategy? Well, the business plan helps you start to determine all of that, so that when you get ready to do your financial projections, you kind of can then do some math that in a month period, you may be able to sell 10 pieces at a certain price point, and it's going to create that revenue. We're forecasting. It's based in the best case scenario from the research that you do, or that the information you have from your industry, or what you gather from your competition. So that part should be not fearful, should not overwhelm you, but it should be like dialed in so closely that you then feel comfortable about investing everything you may have, whether it's your 401k or your inheritance, before you launch that business. So Joe, that was great, what bankers are looking for. And by the time you get done with the business plan and working with advisors from your SBDC, your plan is so solid that you are so confident that your banker is going to just go, wow, this is a solid business plan. Or they may have some additional information you need. So on this slide, this is what's in a business plan. A lot of templates out there, a lot of different things that you could download, you could buy. And we want to encourage you, you don't have to do that. There are quite a few no-cost resources for starting your business plan, the written part, and looking at each part component. And Joe is actually, we actually have some resources at the end of this slide. So what we have here on the right-hand side, the right-hand side of your slide is, this is a template, a one-page business plan summary that we've created, and we're going to send this out to you along with the PowerPoint deck and the recording. So this template is a one page, and it has pretty much everything that you're going to need to fill out. And this is a really good place to start. So in a formal business plan, once you've done your one-page summary and then dug deeper into each of the sections to make sure that you've got it all covered, you're going to have your title page. That's the best, that's the fun part. That's your logo, your name of your business. This plan is done, is written by, and then the date, you know, just like in a term paper or back in the day when we used to have to write, you know, those type of things, that you have your title page. Then you have your executive summary. And of course, the executive summary is a snapshot on 2 pages, no less, could be 3, about what your whole plan is about. And it takes, you know, so that someone could read the executive summary and quickly understand who your market is, what your products and services are, how you're going to reach your audience, what's the management structure look like, and what are you going to use the money for? What do you need capital for? What do you need investment for? And that's right front up in your executive summary. And depending on who you're presenting it to, whether it's a venture capitalist, or you're looking at a family member that's going to be investing in it, or you're looking at a traditional banking capital, you will then kind of fine tune that executive summary with the ask. So then we have a general company description. You know, just talk about your company. Maybe you might know what your organizational structure or your business structure is going to be. You're just starting, it's just you or you and your partner or your spouse, and you're going to be a sole proprietors. Maybe it's you and a friend or your sister, and so you two are going to be partners by default. Maybe you've already looked at some of the types of corporations, whether it's a C Corp or a limited liability corporation. So there's various things that you may already know about your business, because maybe you've already been in business, and then there's other things you may not know. So you're going to kind of write a little description of your company. And then I always like to say here on the right hand side, put in your mission. What is it? What's your mission? And of course, the mission is kind of what's driving you with this business. I think that one of our participants has a childcare business. So her mission might be to provide the best outside childcare for parents, for children, for, you know, and so you go along that vein. So your mission is really what's driving you, what's kind of maybe the philosophy behind your business. And then your contact information, and then list your products and services. What are your products? What are your services? You may have a lot of products. Maybe you're a retail operation, and maybe you have, you know, a high level of products that you have categories. You don't have to list every single nut and bolt here, but you may say that you're, you know, beauty supply, and we specialize in hair products, skincare, all natural, organic, and then your services. Like for me as a consultant, I am the product. So I don't list myself, but my services include business advising, downtown management. I do board training, strategic planning, tourism and marketing plans. So my services kind of go down that vein. So they're very different than, of course, than my products. And then the fun part, and this is what most people think their business plan is about the marketing strategy. Well, who's your target market? Who is most likely to purchase your products or services? And then competition. We like to talk about who you're competing with. Every business has competition. Some businesses have more than not. Your competition could be right there in your local area, or it could be worldwide. And then your pricing strategy. And then what kind of activities, marketing activities, are you going to launch to attract your target market to purchase your products at the pricing point that you've determined, and it's going to be within the niche of your competition. So your marketing strategy could be a website. I'm going to have a robust social media campaign. I'm going to look at email marketing. I'm going to attend a trade show, virtual or in person. And then I'm also going to do some Google ads. So that could be listed all there. We talk about your operational plan. Do you need to have, are you going to manufacture? How are you operating? And then your management plan and your team, and always include yourself. And then you can include your employees, you can include your advisors, you can include your financial partners, whether that's a bank or a CPA. Again, you list your management plan and team. How you're going to really manage your operation is how you're going to sell services, and then your management team is how you're going to manage the business. And then our favorite, the financial information. And we like year 1, year 2, year 3 revenues, year 1, year 2, year 3 expenses, and then your profit. And then the appendix, of course, is everything that backs up your business plan, your resumes, maybe some downloaded from your industry, some research you did why you're going into this industry, because it's a growing industry. Then you would include maybe your management, your organizational structure, anything that's going to give lots of depth, all the research you did, everything you pulled down. It can go in your appendix, and then that helps support the overall written part of your business plan. Joe, do you have anything you want to add in this section? Okay.
That's perfect for the one page. That's a great way to start for sure.
Yeah. Great. So here's your general company description. There's a fabulous resource at bbplans.com. Is that what it is, Joe?
bplans, bplans.com.
And they, this is in the resource in the listing here, and it has quite a few of sample business plans in certain specific industries that you can pull down and use as a template. So I see I have a question from one of our people in the chat. What do I mean by an organizational structure? That would be like, are you going to be the president? You're going to have then maybe an office manager. So organizational structure is just kind of like you're at the top. And it may be like, for me, I'm just my organizational structure is really simple. I am the president of my firm. And then often I have a bookkeeper that supports my business. And then I sometimes bring in colleagues as partners. So my structure, so it's just how are you going to structure your flow of your management team?
And in my particular case, it's just me.
Just you.
11 years of Joe. I use how to start a business. I teach that class too. And the thing I always bring up is kind of morbid, but if the good Lord calls me up today, Joe Rodola's Debt Consulting ceases to exist. That's called sole proprietor, like real sole proprietor.
Yeah.
No corporation here, you know. So it depends on how intricate your business is and how many people are going to be involved in delivering that service or product. So.
Yeah, and so when you're writing a business plan, you may say that, you know, your business type right now is you're going to start out as a sole proprietor, but you intend in 2 or 3 years as your business grows at looking at incorporating, whether that's a limited liability. And then also, you may say that, you know, so you can kind of do a little bit of future forecasting in your business plan. We don't like to get too far out. So anyways, then mission statement, we talked about that. The legal form of your ownership, your company goals and objectives. So again, what are you trying to achieve with your business plan? This is, where are you going with this? What are your goals? Are you a startup? You're going to be launching your business. If you're an existing business, you may be saying that you want to expand into another market. I know with the pandemic, we had quite a few businesses who, one of their goals and one of the key things they were doing very quickly was going to e-commerce or looking at other ways to get their products and services out. And so you want to kind of identify your overall, and I talk about goals being pretty large. You know, goals are, you know, high level, and then your objectives are over the next couple of years. This is how I'm striving to do that. Some businesses want to, you know, maybe freshen up their branding strategy, and their objectives would be to look at a new website, and maybe start an email marketing campaign, and those can be goals for your business. And then a description of your industry. What industry are you functioning in? For me as a consultant, I do downtown management, downtown revitalization, and economic development. So my industry is economic development and downtown revitalization work. And there's some national organizations that I belong to that I know they're tracking my industry. It's a growing industry. It's really shifted in this last year because of the pandemic. But you have to have a brief description of the industry you're functioning in. And then your company's strengths and core competencies. So what gives you, is this a growing industry? Is it a shrinking industry? Is it an industry that you know there's a niche in there because of your background? So what's your strengths and what gives you, what are your core values or your core competencies that build confidence that you can, your business is going to be successful. So Linda, do we have a few questions in the chat there? I keep seeing them pop up, so I'm sorry.
There was a question about the website that you mentioned, B-Plan.
Uh-huh.
And what is the exact address on that?
Yeah, it'll be listed on the end slides, and you're going to get the slide deck, so you don't have to actually memorize it. But it is bplans, BPLANS.com. And like I say, the end slide will have all these resources for you that you don't have to, as we refer to them, you're going to end up with them in your hands. We're going to send you the deck. So don't forget to leave your email address so we can send you the deck, and a blank one page for you guys that are just starting out, that blank one page business plan we showed you. You'll get that too. That's going to be your cocktail napkin. You've seen the movies and you've talked to people or heard about people that started their business, on the back of a postcard or something. So that'll be your startup business plan, and we'll send you a copy of that as well.
Great. So, and in addition to that one pager, we have a sample business that will show you kind of how to fill it out. And this is taken directly from that. And we made up a wooden grain toys business. And so in that product service summary part of that one page, I took this directly from the example you're going to get. So just so you can see when you're doing your just kind of taking it out of your brain and putting it on that one page, that you don't have to go into a lot of detail at that point. So wooden grain tools will sell wooden toys made from solid hardwoods and steel rivets. The toys are handcrafted and designed for small children to easily use. Our line currently includes the following 9 models. So then they put in the 9 models for their products and services. So, this, of course, is a really, really simple type of products and services. But this is, I see my source got kind of like put in there wrong. So the source for this one is the Knot of the Forest shop on Etsy. They are an existing business, and this is kind of the picture that I used of a wooden toy. So this is just an example of how you do products and services. Now, take time to really fill out products and services. The more detail you put in prior to launching your business or implementing any of your goals, if you're existing business, is then you can refer back to your written plan and pull out pieces, whether you're writing copy for your website or you're needing it to use on other parts of your business. The more time, especially descriptions, because once we start running our business and managing all the elements that is involved in keeping those balls in the air when you're the business owner, is we often don't find that time to do this kind of detail. So if you're doing a business plan and you're writing, take time to really pull down those products and service descriptions. Take time to write it out. So then you can go back and refer to it and say, hey, I remember writing that. Where did I put those descriptions? And there it is, right there in your business plan. Next slide. Okay, the marketing and sales strategy. And I like to use this example because it shows you how the marketing plan is nested in the business plan. So you've got your overall business plan, which is everything about the business. And then the marketing plan talks about how you're going to attract your customers or your target customers, your target market, it's often called, and they're going to purchase the service or products and generate income for your business, right? We're always all about generating income. So this is the purpose of the marketing plan, is to identify that target market and how you are going to reach them and encourage them and hopefully have them purchase products or services from your business. Then that generates income for you. Next slide. So you want to identify your trade area, and that is, what area are you looking at reaching your primary and your secondary markets? So it may be that your primary trade area is just 60 miles from where your business is located. Maybe it's Northern California. Maybe it's all of California. I love this one. Oh, the world is my trade area. Okay, well then let's talk about what these target markets look like. Who are your primary customers and your secondary customers? So, you know, you got to give some thought to who your trade area is. If you are a location-based business, usually you're going to be pulling in from 60 to 100 miles radius. If you're an online basis business, then it's much bigger, of course, and it's a different type of marketing strategy we're going to be using versus based location. And because of the pandemic, we have seen our location-based businesses having to also be an online business too, right? To kind of, because people can't come to your shop or they can't travel anymore. A lot of businesses that depend on visitors and tourism are really having a difficult time because people aren't traveling right now. So we've had to maybe shift or pivot, write a business plan about how to approach them online. So then you want to think about primary market, who is most likely going to purchase your products and services, and then secondary, who are probably have the same desire to purchase your products and services, but aren't necessarily as close or as driven or as likely. And then we want to prepare a competition matrix, and I'll show you that in a minute. Outline your pricing strategy. And I think there was a question in the chat about, well, I'm not sure how to price my products or my services. And that's sometimes where you have to kind of look at the competition. What are they charging for products or services? Are you going to charge more? Are you going to be the highest in your market? Or are you going to be in the middle? Are you going to be lower? So we can help you with that pricing strategy. For example, when I launched my consulting business, I had no idea what to charge because I had worked for somebody and I knew what my wage was. But now I'm the owner and I've heard, oh, consultants, they get $200 an hour. I'm thinking, well, heck, I'm going to be rich. Well, the case is that may be what some consultants get, but I found that I needed to have a sliding scale, right? I started out, so I was brand new in the consulting field. Although I was well known, I still needed to maybe lower my price a little bit. And then sometimes my clients had fixed budgets. So I always ask, well, what do you have a budget for? Oh, I can do it for that. And it turned out, $10 an hour, not $200 an hour. So my sliding scaled. So it took a while to kind of zero in on a pricing strategy. And because my product and service wasn't as defined as a shelf item, it was a little bit more difficult. And then after you do all of that, you get to describe how you're going to market and promote your products and services. I think, Joe, I've got a couple of questions in here we probably want to look at in the chat.
We do have a few. One is,
okay.
How do I know if services fall under a state licensing guidelines, such as health or safety?
Joe, you want to take that one?
We obviously, the goal of this class is to get you started in figuring out, before you come in to meet with us, where you're headed. Narrow it down. I know several of my clients that came in originally had very broad-based thoughts when they first came in. So these classes are hopefully going to assist you in narrowing your focus, okay? Are you going to be, I've noticed in the questions, for-profit, nonprofit, completely different animal. It really is, okay? And just to go ahead and disclose it up front, we can do limited individual assistance on nonprofits, but we have, I'll call it a sister company. Sorry to be, you know, we can call it sexist, but the reason we bring it up as a sister company, it's the Women's Business Centers. And we have several of them. I think there's 11 in California. We have a wonderful one up here in Redding. Just recently, I started working with one in Mendocino and Lake County, Women's Business Center. They're also funded by SBA and various other income sources, but they can help with the nonprofits where we are limited because of our SBA funding exposure. We're kind of limited to for-profits, but it's a big decision you're going to have to make. Are you going to get or want to seek donations? Are you going to get and want to seek grants? Okay, grants, especially startup style grants. Okay, well, then you're probably going to lean nonprofit. If you lean nonprofit, you're going to have to get incorporated. It's a lengthy process and a lot more money, okay, to begin with, because you have to have a corporate level of setup for a nonprofit organization. Okay, either 501c3, C6, there's several different choices. But suffice it to say, you gotta have a board of directors. It becomes a lot more intricate, okay? So that's a big decision you're gonna have to make. Do you wanna make money for profit or do you wanna go nonprofit? Big decision. And again, Women's Business Centers, fabulous group. Ours is WBC at Jedi here in Redding. Trish runs it. She's a wonderful lady, Trisha Funk. And we work together because when we get somebody here we can't assist, we'll send them to Trisha's group. And they're, you know, we're actually moving our offices here shortly. And so we're going to be close to them. We'll be able to walk over and knock on the door. That'll be kind of exciting. So we'll be a lot closer to them physically. But suffice it to say, that's a big decision. So this is kind of a precursor to coming in and narrowing down the focus even more, okay? So this idea here is to decide whether or not you're going to do A or B. Okay?
And I would answer Rochelle in terms of if her services fall under state licensing guidelines. You know, at that point, when you're doing your business plan and you have your type, and I know you were looking at a social enterprise with the type of offering restrooms and things for homeless individuals. It depends if you are going to be in contract with the state. Here's my dog. Mailman must be here. I'm going to let you take, I'm going to finish Rochelle's in a minute when I can talk over my dog. Could you take
okay.
Michelle Merritt?
Cal Gold real quick. There's a website available to us all in the state of California called Cal Gold. Okay, Cal Gold. If you want to get a full list of necessary certifications, licenses, things to think about for a style of business, you're still going to have the type figured out though. You know, you're going to have to figure that out. But you can put in your type of business and your zip code on Cal Gold, and I think calgold.gov, if it's right off the top of my head. I'm going to say it's gov, or is it gov or org? Yeah, I think it's gov. So calgold.gov, and your zip code and your type of business, and boom, gives you a list of what you can get. Obviously, for each individual county, there may be tweaks, okay? And so, by the way, thanks, Linda, for putting the connection for our local Women's Business Center in there, and then Cal Gold's in there as well. Thanks, Lani. Those are great places to go for resource information. Cal Gold will give you that list of things you need. And then when you come in to visit or talk with us, hopefully we'll be able to visit live again. This is killing me. But in the meantime, we can do these by webinars or phone. We can help you, decipher for the county in which you're going to open that business. Okay, well, you don't need this, you need that. We can tweak it for the local areas. And there's SBDCs throughout California.
Yeah, and then the website that Destiny put in there, and I'm going to recopy that, is the one that lists all the women's centers across the network. So that one lists all of them, and then our one up here, because I think, Brenda, you're from Fairfield, so there would be one close to you. So anyways, sorry about my dog. He just doesn't know that the mailman always comes about 11:30. It just seems right smack in the middle of teaching. Okay, so I'm going to move on. And thank you, Linda, for clarifying that one and putting in Jedi's address. And I'm going to close my chat. And so the one area that I really push my clients is to just do it, because this is such an eye-opener, is to understand your position and niche. Do a competition matrix. And this should be done probably every couple of years, because competition changes so quickly. And it just kind of helps you understand who is out there maybe doing similar type of a business as yours or not, and what they're doing or not doing. And it helps you kind of dial in some of your, looking at more closely at your weaknesses compared to their strengths. It looks at the pricing, what are they doing for marketing, and how you can maybe figure out who's the top of the mark in the competition and kind of where you sit in all of this. So just list 3 of your competitors. You have 3 out there, at least do 2. I do not want to see this matrix come back with just your name on it and say, well, there's nobody that's doing what I'm doing, I'm special. Well, good, that's great. But you do have competitors. So at least try to define a direct competitor that's maybe located in your trade area or does exactly the same thing as you do, and an indirect competitor. Maybe an indirect competitor might be somebody that's across down the East Coast, or maybe somebody that is over in another nation or is doing it totally similar, but not the same target market. So, and then look at the strengths, the weaknesses, what are their products and services, pricing, marketing, customer service, location, any area that pops in your mind, add to this matrix. And the beauty of the internet is that you don't have to go very far. You can just sit one whole day and just dig down in and look at their websites and sign up for their e-newsletters, go to their social media platforms, give them a call, look at their videos. With us all being less traveling and still slightly sheltering in place, we may not be able to go down to their place of business. It may not even be open. And look at what they're doing in terms of their physical location. But you sure can see online how they pivoted. What are the new kind of protocols they have in place because of the pandemic? How is that going to impact your business model? And like Joe said in the beginning, a whole new vein in the business plan is how you're going to safety and health of your customers, employees, right? Very, very, very important part, especially I know in California, there's some new regulations that are coming out regarding the safe and health part of our employee base and our customers. So this competition matrix, and then of course you put yourself down there. Now, if you're a brand new business, you may not know what your pricing strategy is or you may be thinking this is my marketing, but that's okay, put it in there. That's what we're here for, is to help you kind of like, okay, tell me how you came up with this pricing, because it seems like you are really low. You're not charging enough. Your competitors are charging $50 an hour and you have down there $5 an hour. Tell me how you're going to make this happen. Are you going to have 100 customers versus their 10 customers to make up the difference? So this is part of where we start to, we, the advisors, and your banker or your investor will pull out and say, tell me exactly how you came up with this. And you could pull out your matrix and say, well, here is my market research. This is what I did with the competition. This is how I determined this. And they're going to go, oh, good for you. You did some research. Next slide. So the operational plan, your daily operations, are you going to be open 9 to 5? You're going to have a storefront, or you're going to have a warehouse, and we're going to distribute via trucking. We're going to use, drop ship. You just have to kind of detail out. And like for Joe and I, we do Zoom now. So my operational plan is, okay, get dressed up from the, waist up, put some makeup on, sit in front of my computer and make sure. But when I had to pivot, I wasn't really comfortable with Zoom. I needed to upgrade my technology. I needed to, start with headphones. And so, it kind of changed. So here is the opportunity for you. How are you going to operate your business? And some of this may apply to you, like labor requirements, and some may not. Maybe you're going to be a sole proprietor, the one person show for a couple years, or maybe right out of the gate, we were working with a very sophisticated business, and they were going to hire an office manager, 3 employees. They were going to be doing delivery, all within the first year of their startup. And so they had a very detailed with labor requirements and facility location and types of things that they needed to include in this section. Next slide. So then the management plan. This is less sexy than the marketing plan. This is more about your personnel plan. As you can see, this is taken right from one of our little bplans.com, where it talks about the personnel, their owners. Year 1, this is what their salary going to be. Year 2, year 3, what payroll. This is where we start to really look and we pull in some of your hard expenses if you're going to have any staffing power. Their experience, expertise, strength of your management team, positions required, qualifications, pay, permanent employees. Are you going to use independent contractors, professional assistants? And sometimes with existing businesses, they are looking at growing and adding on staff that they want to bring on in a high-level manager. And so they will really focus on this part of their business plan and really have some depth to it, because there's hard numbers when you bring in additional personnel. And so if they're growing and they need to either start up a second location and they need to fully staff that out, this is an area that is often more developed than if you're just a startup, but not necessarily, right, Joe?
Definitely. Yeah, this whole idea of employees, it becomes a much more intricate type of situation. It really does. There are benefits. Obviously, we teach this in the other class. I'm just going to throw it out. There are benefits to LLC and corporation if you have employees. I'm not an accountant. We have a wonderful person who does our books training, Rebecca. If you're interested, we have a lot of people available to help you up here at Shasta-Cascade. So she knows a lot more about it than I do. But I can tell you one thing, if you do have employees, sometimes the LLC formation or the corporation formation will give you a better situation for you tax-wise and control and the whole bit than a sole proprietorship with employees. So again, something to think about your management plan in the future. I'm gonna, like you say, I just run it myself. I keep it simple, right?
Yeah, and one thing I want to remind folks, and I probably should have said this in the beginning, is remember, a business plan is often writing for the future, right? You're planning. You're looking into your crystal ball and saying in year 1, year 2, year 3, this is what it's going to look like. So in your management plan, it may say, well, year 1, I expect this. to have just, myself. But let's say you just landed a big contract and suddenly you just need to bring in on an independent contractor to come in and assist with that. This by no means is your business plan. Are you like, okay, this is the plan and I got to stick to it. It's a very fluid thing. And that's why we like to work with businesses and have them each year come in and let's review. How do we need to update for next year? If you have this plan and you took the time to really craft it and look at it and do some of the back end fact gathering, and put it down, pen to paper, then you have something to compare it to. If it's all up in your head, which we very often say, oh, business owners and entrepreneurs, we're known for that. It's all up here. I just know it's going to work. Okay, well, let's get it out of there and down on paper, at least on the one page, so we can like really look at it, have a second set of eyes. And then that helps you go back and reflect on how you did. I grew too fast. I was right on target. Oh my gosh, we're already outgrowing our location. I didn't realize that there was this new market across the ocean. So and gosh, pandemic, that was not in anybody's forecast, right? So it's really important to always remember when we're business planning and we're looking at a business plan, we're basing it in what we know and we're writing it for where we want to go. So sometimes it's a combination of both. I have a Chad, any thoughts or suggestions when it comes to drawing up a business plan with future expectations of applying for seed spot programs? A seed spot. Do you know about seed spots, Joe? It's like seed money.
Yeah,
Again, I would say, Destiny, you just need to write it so that you have a good case for any kind of money you're applying for. And seed spot, I'm not totally familiar with it. I know that it's kind of like seed money, that it's collaborative, and that they're looking to grow a solid entrepreneurial idea and really take it from just conception to out there in the marketplace. Again, it's very competitive, and you probably, as if you were my client, I would say just write it so you're totally comfortable that if you were awarded the seed spot funding, that you could deliver what they're expecting.
And I'll go ahead and add something that happens up here much more now than ever, and that is the Economic Development Center up here in Shasta County, the EDC, formulates pitch breakfasts. And these pitch breakfasts are a way to take your business plan, condense it into a PowerPoint presentation with several slides depicting the various areas of the plan: marketing, sales, the product, service, in about 7, 8, 9 slides, right? And then you pitch your ideas, especially this is great for startups. Pitch your ideas in front of a group of people. I sit in on several of them, my boss David as well. And we give you constructive ideas and criticisms to better it, so that by the time you go to an angel group, we have an angel group up here in Reading too. When you get ready to pitch to an angel group or your Uncle Bob, whatever, or whoever it is, a seed fund, you're really good at pitching your product and service. You get great, all right, at it. And it's a free thing you can do, and it's a big help. It's a big help if you're going to have to pitch. Banks, financial institutions, business plans, they're not going to do they're not going to sit it on your pitch normally. It may come to that, but it hasn't yet. But if you're pitching for investors, this whole idea of doing a pitch deck and practicing your spiel is really cool, and it's a lot of fun besides. So just thought I'd bring that up.
Okay, next slide. Is it your turn now again? Am I done? Oh no, the supporting documents. Okay, this is the fun part. You take everything that you kind of worked on over the day or the month or the year, and you compile it all and you put it in there in the back end of your business plan, whether you already have a contract or an agreement. If you're if you're an existing business and you've secured a large contract, and that's the reason why you're looking at some needed capital, is to expand your staffing power and or your location, so you can put that signed contract in the back end of your supporting documents. Any articles or special reports that you've come across that really solidifies that this is a growing industry or a certain niche or a need out there, like and a business plan, like you could write this also for a not-for-profit, and that your articles and special reports may be showing the growing need of these type of services, these hospitality and pop-up restrooms for the homeless. Your management team resumes, put your resume in there, and you can pull down your resume from LinkedIn, but you should have your resume, lenders like to see, what you're going to be jumping into, because especially we love to use the idea that if you want to open a restaurant, but you've never cooked before, it's probably not going to be a solid idea. Personal guarantees, marketing research and studies, anything that you conducted, if you did any surveys, any focus groups, asking people that might buy your product or service, would they be interested in this? How many would they buy? Letters of support, any product brochures, if you're purchasing products already from a wholesaler, or it's an already made product, or you're going to be selling items that are handcrafted, that possibly you have descriptions of those that really shows the uniqueness of them. Licenses and permits, baseline is if you're going to be opening a business in the city of Reading, you need a business license. Personal financial statements and income tax returns in the last 2 to 3 years. So I'm going to let Joe talk more about that. But in the back end of your business plan, you put all of that stuff together, and now you went from having a 5-page business plan to a 50-page business plan. So now it looks really big and juicy, and you bring it into your advisor, and then we jump in and help you with your financials.
Yay.
Yay.
And that brings us to good old Tom Cruise. Show me the money. That's one of the greatest lines ever right there in movie land. It rings true to all of us at one time or another, doesn't it? And especially when you're trying to go into business. And it's amazing. We have spent the last year, we're not going to go back to 2018 when the fires hit Northern California. That's a separate issue. But we have spent the last year, going back to March 11th of 2020, was our last large group gathering of a group of people in our area here to have a seminar. Isn't that amazing? So we're coming up on March 11th, huh? It's about a year away. That's when COVID hit. The very next week, we were closed down. Right after we had this last event, okay? And so, isn't that amazing what can happen in a year? So we spent this entire last year trying to save existing businesses. Let's be real. All the money that's been spent out of Washington, all the money that's been handed down by the state is to assist existing businesses to survive. So I don't want to be a negative nanny, but in 08 and 09, when the real estate market crashed, what did the banks do? Belts got tightened. It was harder to borrow money. Well, afraid it's the same now, okay? So your business plan and your business product got to be slam dunkaroo, okay, to get standard financing availability. I'm not going to lie. No sugarcoating here. So this particular part of your planning is so hugely important, and hopefully you got some buddies. Don't feel bad if you have a friend at this bank, or you know somebody at that mortgage, you know, that company that does business lending. Hey, time to call in markers, people, you know. And if you got Uncle Bob out there that's saying it's the best thing ever, I'm gonna put money into the pot. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, because banking is tough. Okay, it's tough. All right, so the financial plan. Let's go ahead and talk about the financial plan. As I mentioned before, I saw a bunch of business plans. I saw 5-pagers. I saw 50-pagers back in the day. Spent 25 years in the banking industry. 20 of those years I made loans. House loans I was in charge of for a while, and business loans the entire time. And in that time, as Lani mentioned, I looked at a lot of the first page, okay, the first page, which is a kind of an overview, right? And how much you want is normally listed on that first page, and the forecasts. So that's what we look at, right? So it's the core. So basically, and a lot of people have asked this question, I don't know how much I'm going to charge for my service or my business. You got to shop everybody you can shop, okay? My business is to help people with credit report repair. That's my side business, 11 years, okay? The office of CCCS, Consumer Credit, closed their office in Reading, and there were no longer in-person capabilities for anybody to come in and have someone help them fix their credit report. Gone, okay? They said, we're gonna do 800 number back in 2010. We're gonna do everything 800 number. Thanks, Joe, for your service. Adios, see you later. So what's my niche up here in Shasta County? Do you know how far it is from here to Sacramento? 2 to 2.5 hour drive if everything's perfect one way. So my niche is, hey, you don't want to call the 800 number for help, you can come see me. Okay, come see me. That's my niche, local, right? So you have to figure out what your niche is. You have to figure out what your costs are, because you know what everybody else is charging, right? You can check that out. That wonderful, Lani made that wonderful graph where you go out and shop 3 competitors. Oh man, that is so cool to have a document you can put on a little clipboard. And when you go in and walk into the place and you get, okay, they're charging that. They got 5 people. Look at the signage they have on the front door. Look at the signage they have out on the street. Are they advertising something on Facebook? Do they have a website? Are they on Twitter? Are they on Instagram? You know, you check out all this stuff, you can find out exactly what you need on the area of figuring out what you're going to charge. Are you going to be the cheapest? Are you going to be the most expensive? And why? Okay, you can do that. I'm going to be the best. I'm going to be the most expensive. But you better have a product that you can back it up with. Okay, you can back it up with. So again, these are kind of the numbers you're going to do. We can help you with all of these. Okay, don't get frightened. Profit and loss statement, cash flow projections, balance sheet, projected sales, and detailed startup of the new business, what you're going to have. Don't forget startup costs. Everything you spend, including business cards, if you go to Vistaprint, is a startup cost. Okay, all that stuff. Yes.
I know you teach a separate class on cash flow specifically, but can you give that just a little more attention so people understand what that means?
Okay. There's 2 different things. Profit and loss and cash flow technically are 2 different things. Cash flow, in my opinion, creates the P&L, but cash flow is king. In other words, you buy a product, say it's this pen. I'll put it on my face so you can see it. So you buy a pen for $1, you sell this pen for $2. So now you got a $1 profit gross, right? Okay. So cash flow doesn't happen until you sell this pen. You've already spent the $1, so you got to make it go away and hopefully get the $2. That's cash flow in, isn't it? And then you have other expenses. You got, supplies and phone and internet, whatever else you're charging off. So cash flow is the money movement, and profit and loss is the net effect of that movement. Probably the easiest way to explain it, okay? Easiest way to explain the difference. Why, of course, do you forecast? Well, I like to say that you can do it to find out, A, when you're going to break even and when you're going to make money. We can, by the time we're done, if we get it close, we're crystal balling here. Okay, we're doing a little bit of a little voodoo here, but we're going to be able to identify, okay, it's going to take you 5 months before you make money, or it's going to take you 3 months or 2 months, or, sometimes it'll take you 6 months to make money. So you have to have something to back you up, don't you? If you have rent and such, better have some cash available. So it's going to gauge when your business becomes profitable. Use as a budget tool, you can compare what you actually do to what you did. I'm hoping everybody's doing that. Forecasting, obviously, potential profits. That's what the banks are going to want to see. And assist those financial institutions in making those decisions, whether it's yes or no. Okay, whether it's yes or no. If you have a product or service that is unique and is easily identifiable that you're going to make money, it's a lot simpler to talk to a bank or financial institution and get them to say yes, okay? We had a client that came into us, it's been about 5 years ago, and this client had an idea on a napkin. And the napkin said, I'm building an untippable kayak. An untippable kayak. And I said, really? Really? And the guy had a drawing, and he took a kayak from Walmart or something, and he poked 2 holes 3/4 of the way back into the kayak and glued in these 2 poles and put some styrofoam, 2 feet of styrofoam on the end of these poles and glued them on. Okay. He takes this homemade kayak to Whiskey Town and starts standing up and dancing around and fishing and paddling like a paddle board and in the water, figuring out if he could push himself up into the kayak while in the water and not touching ground. Okay. An untippable kayak. Luckily he had a buddy that was a engineer, thank the Lord. He did all the real work of getting it figured out how he was going to create this particular product. But sure enough, that was brand new. There's nothing like that on the market. There still isn't anything like it, okay, on the market. And now, of course, you don't want these things sticking out all the time, do you? So what do you got to do with these pontoons? Well, you have to make them retractable, don't you? So it's a beautiful kayak, okay? It wasn't called a kayak. It was called, it had a fancy name, obviously. It was 10 feet long. It's a biggie, all right? Fairly wide, and when you pull out these pontoons on either side, it was about 5 feet wide. It was great. And then you would retract them in, and then you got a standard kayak, see? And he had it all rigged out. You could have it for hunting. You could have it for fishing. You could have it for diving in the ocean for abalone. It could be customized for you, okay? So now you figure out how to price that sucker, right? So you knew what the cost was of production. Then you know what the cost is to customize. And it's not your $200, $300, $400 kayak anymore, is it, that you can get at Walmart or Kmart or wherever you want to go. It's not even Dick's Sporting Goods kayak, is it? No. So, we spent a lot of time in researching the other potential hunting and fishing kayaks that were available at the time. And he had a patent pending on it, by the way. And so, it was over $2,000 for this kayak before you customized it. I know a guy spent $3,000 on a kayak when he got it done. had depth finders and rod holders and a bait well and a battery in case you didn't want to paddle anymore. You could get an electric trolling motor to mount on the back. Amazing, amazing unit. Specialized unit. You're not going to sell 100 of these babies in a month. Ain't going to happen. You probably won't sell 100 of them in a year. So you see where we're going with this? Each thing is different and each of it's separate. Okay. Obviously, you use this as a budgeting tool and forecast potential profits. Things to think about before preparing the forecast. Price per product. Yeah. And you can do a lot of that during your shopping, right? I bring up the pizza parlor because there's a bunch of them. There's a ton of pizza parlors, right? So if you were going to open a pizza parlor in town here, I'd say, are you really sure you want to do that? And if so, you better have the package and go to all 10 of them. And the cheap one, maybe it's Little Caesars. They used to have a $5 pizza. I don't think it's $5 anymore. So Little Caesars, all the way up to the custom-made products with the one-off pizza place in town. Yeah, we've got the big names of pizza parlors, but then you got your one-offs. What are the prices for a large pepperoni? Better get them all. What's the price? See? So product pricing, competition. What's your competition? With the kayak gentleman, he had to know what his competition were in fancy kayak shops, which we have a beautiful one here in Reading. It's called Headwaters Recreation. Great guy, Brian owns that place, just for the heck of it. Throw it out there. He sells all sorts of fancy kayaks, okay? Fishing kayaks, hunting kayaks, etc. From the big manufacturers of kayak companies. So again, you gotta find out what's available, price your product, know what your competition is. The kayak gentleman, I had to remind him. I said, well, we don't have too much competition. I said, yes, you do. Walmart was, Walmart, $300-400 kayak. Dick's Sporting Goods. Those are secondary competitors. No, they don't do exactly what you do, but the guy that's going out there on a Saturday in Whiskeytown to play around doesn't need your fancy kayak. So it's competition. Online vendors, competition. Okay. Number of buyers. The kayak gentleman started out with 1 or 2 sales the first 45 days as he was building advertising. Okay, 1 or 2, that was all. It's all he's going to sell. So, you got to know what the overhead is and so forth. Number of buyers, and then what forms of payment are you going to accept? Obviously, for the most of us, you're going to take probably cash or credit card. So are you going to take maybe Square? Are you going to use PayPal? Are you going to use a bank's direct to accept payments? What's the cost of that going to be for your business? We need to know that to decipher that into the costs of your expenses. Okay. And we do a lot of consulting with people that are going to contract with federal and state governments, especially CAL FIRE. CAL FIRE, if you're doing a water truck, which is a very, very big business right now in our state, unfortunately, you're not going to get paid for 30 to 45 days. So you go to a fire, you bill them, you're not going to see the money for 2 months. So you have to build that accounts receivable into your plan to know that, if I sell this pen, I'm going to get cash immediately when you buy it. Service, you may not. Okay. All those things come into play. And this, of course, is a little small copy, but guess what you're going to get? When I send out when Emily sends out our wonderful package with all of these slides, I'll send you a blank one of these Excel spreadsheets. Don't get frightened. Don't get scared. Just say, Joe did it. Oh, he sent me this thing. It's okay. It's the actual cash flow projection sheet that was developed not by me, but a good friend of mine. And it's kind of a fill in the blank, which is kind of cool. We can change the name of your expenses real easy, but it's got all the sample formulas, adding and subtracting built into the Excel sheet. So it does a lot of work for you. Well, I'll tell you what, we used to do these manually. I started in banking in 73, 1970, not 1873. Don't get wise. 1973. And in 1973, we had a ledger. It's all we had. Green, it was green and two different color green. Yeah. And it was in a pad. So you had to be around a while to know what that was. And we had to add and subtract it. You know, we had adding machines, thank the Lord, but still had to add and subtract these columns, boy. This thing does it for you. Isn't it great? Okay. So I'll send you one of these blank forms. You start out with your pre-startup position money that you spend before you open. And it's got the months of the year across, January through December, 1 through 12. Okay. And put your business name, type of business, who prepared it, and the date. So right now we're working on 2021. So if you were going to open, say, by April or May, we'd start in the 4th or 5th month of this thing with your startup money on the far left, work our way across for the rest of 2021. And we do a 2022. And some banks want a 2023. Okay, the 2.5 years in this case, or 2 point, whatever years of forecasts. Yeah, a lot of it is a what if, right? As long as the planet doesn't blow up, this is going to happen. So, but it's fun. I love this part. It's great. This is great. I did it with the kayak guy. I did it with my salsa guy. And another guy, real quick, okay on time. Salsa guy, started making salsa in his backyard at pool parties. All his friends and relatives came over and said, you should sell the salsa. Have anybody ever tell you that? You make something cool, they say you should sell it? Guess what he did? He sold it. How about that? Homemade right here in his backyard, and it grew and it grew and it grew. Eventually he had 25, along with the local stores, Safeway, Holiday, Raley's, okay, in the North State. He ended up with 25 Winco stores in Northern California.
And I want you to really stress here on this little sheet, Joe, that little number P, which most people forget, owner's draw.
Yes.
Yes. That's the one I always like to say, oh, it looks like you're making a profit, but how are you paying yourself? And that's exactly okay.
Right. The two things that are hugely important when we go on to the regular stuff's there, right? Rent, lights, utilities. Okay, fine. You're going to sell stuff. Okay, that's your income. As she mentioned, owner's draw is P. Means you bet you're hopefully going to get some money for you. And then Q, the loan payment. See? So we're going to pre-calculate if you got to borrow that money, even if it's from grandma, at 9%, I'll calculate the payment for you. Real easy. We got a lot of free calculators on the internet. You can do it yourself. Calculate the payment for you, and we'll slide it in there so that you know you're making the payments back on whoever you borrowed that from. Also, okay? And again, when you put these figures in, it may be 2, 3, 4 months before you make any money. It's possible. But in fact, it's probable, okay? Unless you got a slam bang, it's going to happen from day one get-go. This will help a bunch in knowing when you're going to start making money, okay? I always suggest, and we're going to do it when we do it together, if we do it ourselves, you and I, expenses first. They're easier to identify, and it gives you the number, the magic number you need to break even. Okay, and I do it without paying you first. Then you got to throw in, okay, do you have to pay you? then maybe you have to start making money from day one. It's possible. It's possible. But normally we do regular expenses first: rent, lights, utilities, insurance. Don't forget insurance. You know, all those things, right? How many of these are you going to have to sell to pay that? That's the theory. Okay. And you'll get a blank one of these when we send them out to you. So the real Excel sheet, this is just a mock-up. And as we mentioned, what is another thing you're going to have to think about? And this is something that comes up in the How to Start a Business class. I also teach a How to Repair Credit class. We have a bunch of classes, tons. A lot of them are being taped. They're on our YouTube channel. Shasta-Cascade SBDC, by the way, YouTube channel. That are being taped. Credit, if you're going to borrow money, your personal credit better be solid. Okay? Better be solid. What's a solid credit score? We put it on there to the one place you can find your credit score for free, Credit Karma. Shoot for 700. 700 plus is the magic number. Okay? 680, 690, you're still okay. You know, you're fine. But shoot for 700. If you want questions on how to do that, how to repair your credit, you're at 600. We can do, if you're going to start a small business and sign up for service, I can do credit report reviews for you for free. Pretty cool deal. Okay, no charge. I'll tell you how to pull them and tell you how to fix them. Okay, walk you through. But credit's also a piece. Business plan is great, but if you have a 525 credit score, my goodness, okay? Work on completing the one-page plan template first. Attack that one. That's your napkin. Then you can expand. Competition matrix. Go out there and check your competition. What are they doing? Obviously, sign up for services and then call and make an appointment with, if you're up here, our lovely Emily, our admin. She is phenomenal. She takes care to make sure that we're not over scheduling ourselves and pops you right in the appointment matrix. And we got a ton of people that can help. Ton of people. We got Lani, we got me, we got Linda, we got Becca. I think there's about 10 local advisors and access to 40 others, including a restaurant specialist, an HR specialist, a manufacturing construction specialist. And these are all, for the most part, out of the Sacramento area. So phenomenal group of people. All these services are paid for by our taxes. Thank you very much. So you don't have to pay us direct. We're getting paid through SBA and state of California. And here's all these access links for you as well. There's bplans.com, and they have over 500 sample plans. So a lot of times you can go on their website for free and look up something that's close, something that someone spent $2,000 to have them prepare, and you can take a sneak peek. That's the way to do it.
Joe, if people are excited to take action right now, then they can pull out their phones and take a picture of this screen. Otherwise, they will receive your slides in a few days when they get that email from Emily. But if you're really excited and you want to take the next step, go ahead and take a picture of this.
It's a good idea, Linda. Way to go. We also have SCORE offices through many areas. That's the link to the SCORE template for the business plan. More helpful links to our NorCal SBDC. We are actually a part of, up here at Shasta-Cascade SBDC of the NorCal SBDC. They are headed, for the most part, in the finance center out of Sacramento. And again, our host, they call it, is Humboldt State. And there's the SCORE library. SCORE is, the acronym stands for, shoot. So my business plan, I never remember it. Lani, do you remember that one?
Something
Retired
retired.
executives.
Yeah, retired
Yeah.
executives.
It's another group of people that can help and assist. They do a very, very good job. If you have a really good score office with the business plan write-up part, they can assist a little more heavily than we can even in the write-up.
Yeah, they usually have retired individuals that are within a specific industry to kind of align. So if you were going into high tech or manufacturing, or let's say even retail, that most of the time they try to align you with somebody that was in that industry. So it's kind of apples to apples versus apples to oranges when you're. And again, it's at no cost.
And again, yeah, it's all free. I started my business 11 years ago. I didn't know anything about these places. What a dummy, And then I went to work here and thought, boy, wouldn't that have been handy to go there before I jumped off the cliff. Any final questions before we wrap this baby up?
If someone would like to turn on their microphone and ask a question, you're welcome to. I did put in the chat a link to the survey, and we would love to hear what you think of this webinar. What did you love? What was your favorite thing? Where can we do better? And what are the topics that you would like to see in future webinars? But please do feel comfortable turning on your mic to ask a question. We do have a couple minutes still.
Thank you, Brenda. And hopefully we helped kind of clarify and demystify the business plan process. It's such a valuable exercise, tool, process, and end document that, Joe, that we just can't stress enough.
And we're going to probably break 100 webinars this year, which is a lot of webinars, guys. So you can join us to, go to sbdcsc.org. There's our email address and website right there. There's Emily's email address direct, but that sbdsc.org, you can look at the calendar and see all of our local webinars, okay? And NorCalSBDC.org, our counterpart in Sacramento, they're doing a bunch of webinars. Louise is our restaurant specialist. She is great. She came up and did a live thing for our restaurant community a year and a half ago before COVID. And boy, we had 30 people show up to that one. She was fantastic. And she knows how to do pricing based on it's a matrix. I'll tell you what. How much your tomatoes and lettuce cost, she can figure out cost. You can figure out how much to charge for the sandwich and using this matrix.
And the food cost, that's the biggest part. And then, Linda, you want to talk about if they're not located in our specific region, how they could find an advisor to help them with their business plan?
Of course. If you are in the US, notice this link at the bottom of the screen here, americassbdc.org/find-your-SBDC. And by searching there, you can type in your county name or your zip code and find out which SBDC is in your county supporting your community. We are in Redding, California. As I mentioned before, we're Shasta and Trinity counties. And when people live in those counties, they can set up individual sessions with advisors like Joe and like Lani and meet with them right now with COVID restrictions. They're meeting over a webinar. But you can meet with people and have them move you through the various steps of your business. There are advisors with different specialties, and that's true at all the different SBDC offices. So you'd be able to find someone that supports whatever need you have, whether it be financial or marketing or something else.
Great, thank you. Well, Joe, we did well. And
it was a pleasure as always working with you.
Yeah. We don't get to work together very often. We get to see each other on our team meetings, but we don't really very often get to teach together. And it's always an honor to hear. It makes me want to go do my cash projections. Right now, I'm just like shoving it all in my checking account and hope it stays there. Anyways, Linda, thank you for really coordinating and hosting and taking care of the chat. And thank you to all our participants. Hopefully we've shared enough information, and watch for the recording and the documents we promised you in your email box in the next few days. And let's make it a great week.
You bet. Good luck to you. And hopefully if you're in this area up here, we hope to see you soon, one-on-one. And if you're in another area, there's going to be an advisor just like us. Well, not just like us.
We're the best, right?
But you'll have some advisors that'll be able to assist you in your geographic area as well. So thank you all and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye,
everybody. Please do click on, I'm going to stay open just for a moment because I want to make sure you have a chance to go in the chat. Scroll up the chat a little bit and find that survey link I put in for you. Click on the survey link, and then it'll take you to a separate screen, and you can go there, complete that survey, and give us some feedback. The reason these webinars keep getting better and better is you give us ideas to improve them, and we put those changes into place. So thank you so much. We sure appreciate having you with us, and we will see you at another webinar.
Take care.